Hey guys, Derek here. Welcome back to the channel. We are back to watch episode 2 of The Last of Us. Episode 1 was incredible. I loved every second of it, and I am very, very excited for what's to come in the rest of the season, but specifically episode 2. I have an idea of what this episode will cover, because obviously I've played the games, but I'm particularly excited to see how they address it, what things they add, what things they take away. I'm just really, really enjoying it so far. What I'm not enjoying is that my episode 1 reaction got manually blocked by HBO, which is annoying. It's typically whatever when it gets claimed or blocked, like right away when it gets caught by like the Content ID robot. That's fine because you just re-edit it slightly and then you upload it, before you put it live. But when your video has been up for like 2 days and then it gets blocked, it's so frustrating. Because it always gets denied. Every time you dispute, it always gets denied because it just gets sent back to the same people, which is really frustrating. And so I've had to re-upload it like twice. I currently have one version of it that is not blocked at the moment of filming this. Might be blocked by the time my reaction to episode 2 comes out. So if you're interested in seeing episode 1's reaction, I'll link that in the description, or it's just on the channel. The version that might end up staying permanently might have a ton of blur in it, right? Like, because I constantly have to blur different parts of the source footage and then, resubmit it to see if it pulls the claim off, but not having much luck so far. So I'm really hoping episode 2 does not get manually claimed and blocked. That it always sucks. I typically haven't had any issues with HBO Max in the past with this type of thing, but if it continues, that's going to be a real big bummer. Yeah, I don't know. That's enough complaining from me. I'm just really excited to watch this next episode. So before we do that, if you end up enjoying my reaction, please leave a like on the video. It means a ton to me and it helps my channel grow a lot. If you're new here or you find yourself coming back often, hit subscribe or ring the bell so you're notified when I upload, especially if you want to see me react to the rest of The Last of Us. And then if you're interested in seeing the full uncut version of this reaction, consider supporting me on Patreon. That is linked in the description below. Sometimes I post my reactions early on Patreon as well. So if you're interested in that, consider checking it out. But otherwise, let's jump into episode 2 of The Last of Us. This must be Jakarta. Is this like what causes the outbreak? Because they had that radio clip talking about Jakarta. Hello. Is she a scientist, maybe?
Apakah saya ada berbuat suatu kesalahan?
Tidak, tentu saja tidak.
They need your help.
Andre Bu Ratna, Profesor Mikologi, Universitas Indonesia. Kita memiliki orang yang tepat.
They're bringing her in to ask her a couple quick questions about if the world is effed.
Kami butuh bantuan Bu Ratna untuk meneliti spesimen yang telah kami persiapkan.
Things are bad when they bring someone in to look at something. They're like, just we need to know how bad a shape we're in.
Iya, ini opiocordyceps.
Cordyceps, yep.
Cordyceps tidak bisa bertahan pada manusia.
Oh, they domed this person. She got bitten. That means there's someone else out there that has it.
Apa ini gigitan manusia?
Looks like it, yeah. So this might ruin the theory that people had about the like wheat factory or whatever in Jakarta, about how people were getting sick. Yeah, that's not good.
Jadi kapan ini terjadinya, Pak?
Kurang lebih 30 jam yang lalu tuh.
Di mana?
Di pabrik tepung dan gabah di
Oh,
kota.
yeah, flour and grain. Okay, never mind. That brings the theory back. That's why Joel and Sarah and Tommy didn't get infected, because they didn't eat pancakes.
Siapa yang menggigit perempuan itu, Pak?
Kami tidak tahu ya.
Oh.
Berkeliaran di luar sana.
Yep. They are still out there. Oh, the slow zoom in on her.
Kami membawa Ibu Ratna kemari untuk membantu kami untuk mencegah penyebaran.
No, you can't. It's already spreading.
Butuh obat.
Saya telah menghabiskan waktu hidup saya untuk
There is
mempelajari.
currently no way to make one.
Jadi tolong dengarkan saya baik-baik. Tidak ada obat. Dan tidak ada vaksin.
I wonder who patient zero
Jadi apa
was.
yang harus kami lakukan?
You prepare for the world to end.
Bom.
A bomb?
Mulailah pengoboman. Bom seluruh kota. Dan seluruh orang yang ada di dalamnya.
Wow. Holy cow. You know things are effed when the first solution from a scientist is just nuke this city.
Apa ada yang bisa antar saya pulang?
No.
Saya hanya ingin bersama dengan keluarga. Dengan suami dan anak-anak saya.
It's crazy. What another banger of an opener, though. Like, 2 back-to-back openers showing the severity of this infection. Like, the first one showed, like, the theoretical, like, hypothetical situation of, like, if this happens, we all lose. This one showed, like, it happened. And the leading scientist on that in this country, the only solution she has is to nuke your city, the capital of Indonesia. Okay, where is Joel and Tess? Oh, they're just chilling.
Morning.
They're just here to make sure you're not a zombie.
Fine. Back there, you can find a spot. In here. Tear out a few pages.
To wipe.
There's not gonna be anything bad in here?
Just you.
Oh, funny.
Oh. That looks painful.
She made it through the fucking night.
It doesn't matter. It's gonna happen sooner or later. All right, we're still close to the wall. We sneak her back into the QZ. We find a different way to get the battery.
This is our best shot.
This is the way, Joel. Get it? Because he's the Mandalorian?
You need to stop talking about this kid like she's got some kind of life in front of her.
Gives her the magazine back. No, just a sandwich.
Is that chicken?
Yep. Or until they get it from smugglers. Guess not you guys.
Damn. Tess is like, gimme.
Joel and I aren't good people. We're doing this for us. Because apparently you're worth something.
She told me not to tell anybody, and I'm telling the first people there. There's a Firefly base camp somewhere out west. With doctors.
I've heard this before.
And whatever happened to me is
The key to finding the vaccine. That's what this is. We've heard this a million times. Ever.
Fuck you, man. I didn't ask for this.
You and me both. This isn't gonna end well, Tess.
Well,
We need to go back.
I just love the dynamics. It's so good.
Let's just finish it. It doesn't matter if she is or she isn't what the Fireflies say. If they believe that she is.
Then she's still got value.
If she so much as twitches.
Don't.
What a little goober.
Can I have a gun?
Absolutely not.
Okay, Jesus, fine. I'll throw my fucking sandwich at them.
Throw the sandwich at him, Ellie.
Whoa.
Yeah, looks different in the daylight, huh?
God, it's so cool.
It's like a fucked up moon. Is this where they bombed?
Oh, yeah. Did they bomb all the cities?
They had to slow the spread somehow. Worked here, but it didn't in most places.
Just kill the population.
So,
Long way or short way?
I mean, it's the long way or the we're fucking dead way.
well, I vote long way, just based on that limited information.
Yeah.
How did you get bit?
You know the old mall in the
Hanging with
QZ?
Riley.
The one that's sealed off and boarded up and no one's supposed to go in? Ever? That one?
Whatever, I snuck in.
So it was just you in there alone?
No.
Yeah.
How old are you?
13? 14?
I mean, you got some balls on you, sister.
Thanks.
Makes sense that she wouldn't want to tell them about Riley yet.
Nobody's gonna be coming after you, right? Like mom, dad, boyfriend.
I'm an orphan.
And gay.
So there aren't super infected that explode fungus spores on you?
Shit, I hope not.
That's a
Does
thing
spit
from the
only
game.
heads that see in the dark like bats?
Those exist as well. Zombies don't like ducks, apparently. Little frog thinks it's a musician.
Wait, are we going in there?
Yeah, we gotta get to the stairwell on the other side.
Ellie doesn't know how to swim.
Seriously?
Do you think we have pools in the QZ?
No, smartass. I mean,
I don't know how I was supposed to know that.
That's fair.
Ding ding!
Don't.
Yes, sir, I would like your
Ring
fine
that?
sweet, please. Come
you're a
on.
weird kid.
You're a weird kid.
She is a weird kid, indeed. She's like, I can't believe I just offered her help. Just that little back and forth right there went a long way with him liking her. her sending back the "you're a weird kid." Classic. That's what I do. Care to hear a joke?
Nice knife.
same knife
Where'd you
from the
learn to do
game.
that?
The circus. Where are you from?
Texas.
Texas,
What about Tess?
Detroit. It's in Michigan.
I go to school. I know where Detroit is.
Well, you never know. You just know what they're teaching you now.
So, you two,
Pass.
Yep, they're boning.
No more questions about me.
Joel doesn't like to talk about his past.
is it hard? Like knowing they were people once?
Sometimes.
What about that guy last
It's
night?
them or you. Oof. Yep, that's why you don't go through there. I've walked down that street before.
They're connected.
More than you know. The fungus also grows underground. Long fibers like wires, some of them stretching over a mile. You step on a patch of cordyceps in one place, and you can wake a dozen infected from somewhere else.
Dang. It's kind of like a hive mind.
You're not immune from being ripped
I
apart.
think that's different from the game.
Oh, man.
Marlene packing one of these or just sandwiches?
Yeah.
Only sandwiches.
I have a spare hand.
You don't get a gun.
Congratulations.
She wants a gun so bad. This part in the games was spooky. Every time you have to navigate around clickers is just like so tense and anxiety inducing.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, that is a fresh one.
I don't hear it. Who would you hear? Who would you hear?
We are silent. Not quiet. Silent.
What?
No questions.
You don't want them to hear you, Ellie. Very no bueno. God, this set design is so good. Don't step on things, Ellie. Oh, it's so tense. Oh no. This is where they are. Oh. They're so scary. Oh, God, that's so frightening. Gah. Oh. Tess, you gotta aim better than that, girl. Oh, and that's a nice way to Nice way to not show something happen. I don't know if they're going to address it in this episode, but that was a nice way for an event to happen that we don't know about at this point. I wonder if it'll apply this episode or maybe next episode. Oh, it's gonna be like right next to him. Oh, that's just so spooky. This is classic games. Classic games right here. Crouching behind a piece of cover while the clicker... Oh my god. Knife! Ellie, use your knife. That works too. Oh, there's another one. Oh. Clickers are scary as frick, dude.
You alright?
Well, I didn't shit my pants.
Wonder if they're moving the location.
I mean, if it was gonna happen to one of us.
Wonder if they will move the location of said bite based on some dialogue we just heard.
Over there?
Yeah, I know, looks scary.
That was scary. This is wood.
Wood plank, baby. Wood plank over a ladder.
What about the kid? I mean, the first bite didn't take. And what about the second?
Why don't you just take the good news? Like to think for once, maybe we can actually win. Just go and watch her.
She's so good. She's so good as Tess. Like, you can see the frustration. Given, it's so tough to talk about what she's feeling right now without spoiling things.
Is it everything you hoped for?
Jury's still out.
Like, she's seeing the bite not take hold of Ellie. And there's just this mix of hope and frustration. And
Let's get there before it's dark.
Oh, it's so good. Oh, don't look at your watch, Joel. Don't look at your watch right now. She's keeping her distance a little bit. There's blood. Just a bunch of dead fireflies.
They went inside.
Tess.
Come on!
Tess needs this to mean something. Oh.
Holy shit.
I wonder if we're gonna get the "We are survivors" line.
I mean,
I
it's gotta be
want to hear him
fucking
deliver
radio
that
or
line.
something, right?
doing?
Where did Marlene say that she was taking you? Ellie!
I don't know, just west.
I mean, one of them's gotta have a map on them, right? Joel, can you help me?
No. Tess, it's over. We are going home.
This is not my fucking home! I'm staying. I mean, our luck had to run out sooner or later.
She's infected.
Show me.
Show me.
Was it her ankle? Oh no, it's on her neck. Oh.
Look. Joel. This is real. I need you to get her to Bill and Frank's.
No.
They'll take her off your hands. They'll handle it from here.
No, I can't. They won't take her. They're not gonna take her.
They will, because you'll convince them. I never ask you for anything, not to feel the way I felt, not to... You shut the fuck up, because I don't have time. This is your chance. We keep her alive. And you said everything right. All the shit we did.
Had to mean something.
Oh, fuck!
Interesting. Interesting that it's infected that are coming for them now. Not Fedra like before.
What are you doing?
Making sure that they don't follow you.
God, what a absolute trooper.
Say who you can say.
Gotta go.
No! We're not leaving her!
Alright, Tess. Interesting. Now we're seeing it from her perspective, where in the game we don't see it from her perspective. This is brilliant. I love that it's the same events, but we're just seeing it from a slightly different angle. Are they not going for her? Because she's infected? They can tell somehow? It can tell. Oh. Oh my God. That thing was like kissing spores into her. R.I.P. to Tess. That's why she had such hope, but such frustration. Because she knew she was bit. kind of figured that's where that was gonna end. Oh my god. I think next episode is about Bill and Frank. Wow. Another great episode, and I love how like they're simultaneously like staying so true to the game, like so unbelievably faithfully adapting the game, and then also like making some substantial changes. And they're changes that make sense. And they talked about a couple of those changes in the post, like inside the episode type thing. One of them is how the infected work, and like the fungus versus like spores type thing. I know that was a kind of a big talking point a little bit before the show came out. Is there was a headline or article or something that came out that said that they were changing the way that the infection spread like organically in the environment from spores to like these like fungus type tendrils. And that makes sense. You know, the spores in the game were very much not like a puzzle element, but they were a gameplay element that were, you know, designed to funnel you into a specific type of gameplay sequence. And that doesn't necessarily translate perfectly over to a show, like the medium of a show, especially because like when you have actors, you want those actors' faces to be seen, and putting them in gas masks for extended periods of time, you know, when your characters go inside or deal with the infected inside in any sort of way, that is it's tough to buy that would work, right? Because one, you don't see the actors' faces and emotions, and you just, there's a disconnect that happens when you don't see that on an actor. When you're in a game, you're playing as that character, like the gas mask isn't necessarily a deterrent because you're typically always seeing like the back of their head. But when you want the focus to be on the actors' faces and their emotions and the things that they can convey that way, putting them in a gas mask doesn't make sense a ton of times, just from a logistical standpoint. But then from like a scientific standpoint, you know, they talked about how it doesn't necessarily make sense that those spores would stay localized in the specific spot that they're at, right? The people would have to have gas masks on all the time. And so they changed that to kind of like this myceliae. It's like these strands of fungus. And I think that works. I think it works really well. Because one, it adds this like grossness element to the infected, where like the fungus is like literally coming out of their mouths, and they use that to infect people. Like when they bite people, like they put that in them. That's gross. And they make it really weird and gross with Tess at the end, but they also changed how the infected work in terms of like a hive mind-esque structure, where in the games all the infected were very much like individualized, and this kind of does take away one of the debates about the infected, right? Like, because there's moments later in the game where Ellie has a conversation, and she kind of has that conversation slightly with Joel here, just like a very, very briefly, where she's talking about, you know, was it hard to kill infected knowing that there were once people in there? And she has a conversation in the game with a different character where, you know, they discuss the possibility that those people are still inside there. But I think with making the infected this like hive mind-esque type thing, it can kind of in a sense take that possibility away, because it does away with the possibility that the people are still in there somewhere, right? And I think that was always kind of like the assumption, is that like the people are gone, they're not there anymore. that's just, that position is strengthened knowing that they're like this hive mind-esque type thing. And I like how they described that as well, because that's actually a thing as well, like in the forest and fungi and stuff, like the network can branch out for miles and miles and miles, and you can touch some fungi in one part of the forest, and miles down, like that will be known by other parts of the forest. And it's like, it's wild. And so the way they're incorporating that into the infected here makes every situation more tense. Like, you don't have to have infected visible or anything like in a particular environment for it to be scary, because you just have to know that, like, if they interact with the fungus anywhere, like, infected will know and come find them. And so that's particularly scary. The cold open, I want to talk about that a little bit. The cold open of this episode was really, really good, where we pick up in Jakarta. If you remember the last episode, the radio was talking about Jakarta. And at first I thought they were going to disprove a theory that people had, but they actually, I think, reproved it. So a lot of people had a theory based on the first episode that people were getting infected via, like, I mean, it could disprove it. It doesn't necessarily prove it either way. But people had a theory that, like, people were getting infected via, like, the flour and grain from this factory or warehouse in Jakarta. And that could still be true, right? Like, these people could have still eaten the fungi. Like, it could have gotten in the grain and stuff. But the cold open of bringing this scientist in, having her look at this and informing her that it's from a person, and you, over the course of a couple minutes, you slowly see just like a sense of like fear and terror and loss of hope creep into her. Like, this actress did a wonderful job where she starts off like confused, and then she looks at the sample and she's like, not just like confused, but like, this is dumb. Why are you showing me this? And then from that point on, just like watching her slowly change and like accept what is being shown to her, and then like fear that, and then the loss of hope when she knows what the future holds. Brilliant. And then the military guy is like, we need a cure, and she's like, the cure is to nuke your in city. Like, this is her home. Like, and she's not saying this lightly. This is her home. She lives in this city, and like, her, as someone who's studied this her entire life, her first and only piece of advice to them is to start bombing the city. Whether that be just slowing the infection down, because you're just killing off potential hosts, or like nuke the city. Because if you can, if this infection started here, you could maybe potentially end it here. I'm not 100% sure if that would work, but one of the scariest parts is they don't know who patient 0 was, who bit this lady. They just know that there's various workers at this warehouse that are not accounted for. At least 4 people have been taken and killed. The grain was probably infected, and that kind of reinforces the theory. When they said it was a grain warehouse, that reinforces the theory that people had about episode 1, about why people like Joel weren't getting sick, like didn't get infected. Joel, Tommy, and Sarah didn't get infected, but the neighbors did, because they didn't eat the birthday pancakes. They didn't have any pancake mix for Joel's birthday pancakes. But the neighbors made biscuits, and they ate the biscuits, and they made cookies and ate the cookies. But Sarah didn't eat any cookies. Joel didn't eat any biscuits because he was on Atkins. Tommy ate leftover chicken wings instead of birthday pancakes. Like, all of it kind of fits together, where like people were probably getting infected via the grain and via that type of stuff. So I like how that that kind of comes into play a little bit, and then obviously people are getting infected by being bit. That just like that first 10 minutes of the episode, beautiful. I said this in the reaction, but I really appreciate just the gravity and the sense of dread that these two initial cold opens have brought to the infection, right? Because the first episode brings this like hypothetical, like these scientists are discussing the possibility of this type of thing happening, and it gets really, really serious and deadly serious as people realize, like, if this happens, we're effed, and there's a substantial chance it might happen. and you just have to sit there and wonder, like, okay, if this were ever gonna happen, this is not good news for us, and it's not a non-zero possibility of it happening, right? Like, if these fungi were ever forced into a situation where they had to evolve to survive in hotter temperatures, then we would be effed. You know, for instance, if the world started getting warmer, that would be a scary situation. And then this cold open kind of plays on the same type of thing, but it's no longer a hypothetical of like, what would happen? You know, we would lose. It's like, it is happening. And the scientist, you know, both cold opens, the scientists are the ones that truly realize the gravity of the situation. In this one, the scientist is the one that realizes, like, it's happened, we're effed. And her one course of action is just bomb the city. Just brilliant. And the slow zoom in on her as she realizes that they're screwed and that they're gonna be screwed going forward. Oh man. And then the whole journey to the state house with Joel, Tess, and Ellie, where they're very apprehensive of her at first, right? Like, neither of them believe that she is immune. They're literally watching her sleep, and wake up, and they're both very skeptical. And Joel straight up just wants to either shoot her or send her back. Like, he's like, nah, this isn't real. I'm not doing this. Like, I'm not getting my hopes up. And Tess, they talked about in the post episode how Tess has something inside of her that Ellie awakens, where Tess is like, Tess is the one that's she's holding out hope a little bit, being like, okay, we need to actually see this through, because even if she's not infected, we still get our stuff, right? Like, she still has value to us. And so she's using that excuse to keep going, but really in her heart, she knows that if this is real, like, if Ellie is immune, like, them getting her to the right people to make this vaccine and setting things right could be the one truly good thing that can redeem them. And I wish they would have had the line in the state house when I think you know, frick, she says like we're shitty people, Joel. And he's like, no, we are survivors. And it's like, you are, but like you're also kind of shitty people at this point. And she believes that if they can get this done, that is redemption. Like, all the horrible things that they have done in the name of survival. And not just in the name of survival, but of personal benefit, right? Selfish benefit in the world. If there is something that they can do to save everybody, not just themselves, but save everybody and bring some modicum of redemption, she is going to hope for that. And you see that slowly start to come out as they're journeying to the state house. And we get some solid world building, right? Where, for the people that don't know about clickers or infected or anything like that, you get some general knowledge of how they work and why it's so dangerous to be out here. You know, Ellie brings up bloaters. Well, she brings up bloaters and I think it's the, what were they called? Not gushers, but something. In the second game, where they like explode and shoot spores at you. Ellie's like, those does exist, and they're like, no. And it's like, but they do though. Like she brings up 2 examples of infected that exist, at least in the game. I know we'll see a big beefy boy in this show because they showed it in the trailer, but I don't know if we'll see the ones that are just like fat and like throw spores at you. We'll probably just see the ones that were, if they die, they explode and shoot fungus at you. We get a little bit of info about Ellie that comes up later on, where they're like, "Are you, like, anyone been coming after you? Like a mom, dad, boyfriend?" And Ellie's like, "No." Like, and that's, I don't know if that's like a spoiler that Ellie is not, she ain't swing the bat that way. But I don't know. We learn about her. We get to bond with her a little bit. See her be the weird kid that she is. Like that's something that changes a little, not a whole lot, but a little bit as she gets older into the second game, into the first game. The world hardens her a bit, but early on in the first game, she's a goofy, weird kid. Like Ellie does weird stuff. And very much like her, like doing this like play on acting thing of being like, "Oh yes, allow me to get the bags for you." Like she's just so dumb and goofy, and I think that was the first moment where Joel really actually started to soften to her. Cause he's like, "You're a weird kid," but like, cause he's intimately familiar with his own weird kid that died. Like Sarah was a little bit of a weird kid. She did goofy things and she had fun, and Joel's seeing that in another little girl, and he's like, "You're a weird kid," and she's like, "You're a weird kid," and it's like, oh, just the back and forth there, I think went a long way with Joel softening to her. He doesn't absolutely hate her. Which is, it was just so good. And then, yeah, we get all the info about the infected being kind of like this hive mind-esque type thing. And Tess is explaining to her, like, "Yo, you need to not be so reckless because, if you don't listen to everything we say, you can still get ripped apart. Like, you are immune to being infected, but they'll still tear your neck open." Like, that's a thing that they will do. And so, yeah, it's crazy. And then the museum was scary in the game. So tense here as well, where they're sneaking through, trying to be so quiet, and then they get to the clickers, and they just make a little bit too much noise, and the clickers are after them, and they have to run. There was a moment where Tess and Ellie get separated, and I called it out. I was like, that could be a nice way to hide an event that happens. And I believe, we don't really fully see it in the show or in the games even, really. There's just moments where like the infected, interact with both Tess and Ellie in the game, and it's a lot easier to be like, oh yeah, totally could have happened in that moment. I think this is a clever way for the audience to be surprised, like the people who haven't played the games to be surprised that she is infected, because her and Ellie separate, and then they focus on Ellie, and you can reasonably guess that Tess got bit in that other time frame. But you get see a little bit of paternal instinct with Joel protecting Ellie, and them killing these just 2 clickers. 2 clickers are so freaking scary and daunting in the show, and it's brilliant. The clickers did a fantastic job. Scary as heck, and they get out, and the moments when Ellie's walking across that wooden plank, also fantastic callback to the game. But Tess and Joel are just sitting on this roof, and you can see the absolute mix of utter frustration that Tess has mixed with this optimism and hope, right? Because she's like, yo, if this kid is real, one, this can fix everything. Like, we can be redeemed. All the horrible things we've done, there's redemption in that for us because this kid is real. But then there's also the frustration because she knows she's been bit. And she knows that she individually is not going to see the future that Ellie could bring, right? Because they know how quickly the infected change, and she knows she's bit, so she knows she has, and she was bitten in the neck, so she knows she's got like 3 hours max until she turns, and it's tough, and you can feel the emotion in her voice, and it's just like it's tough. And she's trying to keep her distance from Joel as well. Like, as they're walking to the state house, she's walking like 10-20 feet ahead of them because emotionally she knows she's going, and she can't show him that in that moment, right? And it's tough. And they get to the state house and they realize all the people are dead. This was another change they made to the show from the game. In the game, the Fedra and the military are the ones that killed all the Fireflies, and they're the ones that come after you in the end, and they're the ones that end up killing Tess. I like the change that they made to make it the infected, and I like the change they made to show it from her perspective. That was really, really brilliantly done. But yeah, just seeing Tess's desperation come out in these moments where she is like desperately trying to find some sort of thing to keep this mission going, right? Like, she's like, there has to be something that tells us where they went. And Ellie realizes it. She's like, oh frick, she's infected. Like, she's acting irrationally, and that's when you get the same conversation, slightly different, between Joel and Tess, where she's expressing to him, like, if there was anything here. That was one thing I liked from the game, where the line delivery in the game is like, there is enough here between us that you have to feel some sort of obligation to me. And I wish they would have included that in this. They slightly change it where she's like, I don't ask for much from you. Like, I didn't ask you to feel the way I feel. And I don't know what that means. I wonder if that means, like, romantically, like she felt a certain way towards him romantically, and it wasn't quite there, or if she's talking about, like, this specific thing. Like, she's not asking him to feel the same way about this situation or Ellie as she feels, but there is enough there. Like, I love that delivery in the game where she's like, there is enough here that you have to feel some sort of obligation to me. And she's basically expressing to him, like, this has to mean something. Like, she is real. She is infected. The line delivery in the game, she's like, I was bitten an hour ago and it's already worse. This is real. And, like, so even when she knows that she isn't going to make it out, she knows that she's going to die in the next 20 minutes. Even if no one comes to kill her, she knows she will turn in the next, less than an hour. But she is still adamant that Joel continue on the journey and get this job done. Because if he gets it done and she was part of it, that means that's some redemption for her, even from beyond the grave. Yeah, they talked about how she always had this inside of her, and Ellie has just kind of unlocked it or let it out. And it's tough. And then, yeah, Joel just drags Ellie away because he's not going to be here. He's not, like, he can't bring himself emotionally to be in that situation. Like, he can't, like, slowly say goodbye to her. He just has to grab Ellie, turn, walk away, like, out of the room, we're gone. And as they continue, it's going to be so daunting. and so tough for him, and it's just brilliantly done. I think one of my favorite changes, though, to this episode is seeing what happens from Tess's perspective. In the game, when Joel and Ellie leave the room, you're in the control of Joel, so you don't see what happens. You know, you hear it, and you see the aftermath of it in the game of Tess dead, but you don't see it happen. You don't see the fear and the terror in her eyes, and the resignation of what's happening. You just go straight to Joel and Ellie trying to escape. I liked that they showed Tess, like the resolve to get this done, and then they made it weird. They made it like weird. Like, I liked that the infected could kind of tell. Like, they could tell that she was infected, so they weren't just gonna rip her apart. And then the runner with the spores coming out of its mouth, straight up, like, not like kisses her, but like puts it like in her mouth, and it's so it can like more easily infect her, and it's creepy and gross and weird, and she is just in total shock. So it's not like she's gonna fight against it, right? She knows she's dead, and maybe something with the infection is altering her brain already to make it be like, this is okay. But at the same time, she's fighting back, trying to light that, not match the lighter, and then she blows it up and kills all of them, and sacrifices herself for the greater good and for the mission. And as much redemption as she could muster, she put it out there, and now it's all on Joel and Ellie, and they end the episode on the shot of Ellie, and I liked them ending that shot on Ellie because it's another moment of someone sacrificing themselves for Ellie. You know, we've gotten hints, just hints of previous sacrifice for Ellie, in some name drops and location drops, but we don't know 100% yet the events, at least within the show. So I don't want to necessarily spoil what happens, but you know, Ellie is seeing people sacrifice themselves for her. And so she's getting a little bit of clarity and context to how important she is. And it's going to build and build and build until towards the end of the game when her sensibilities really come out, and we see how she truly feels about everything that's happening. Oh, man. Oh, it's so good. Next episode is going to be all about Bill and Frank. And I'm very excited to see their backstory. That's a backstory we never saw in the games. We got a note from Frank to Bill, and then we interacted with Bill and talked to him, and through that part of the game, you can infer things about Bill and Frank. You know, like you understand slightly, like what the situation was there, but you never truly get any full backstory on that or any conclusion to the story. But I think the next episode is gonna show us quite a bit about what went down between those two, and I'm excited. No Tommy in this episode. That's okay though. One thing I do want to say, last episode, when I was talking about Tommy and the actor that plays him, I accidentally called him Diego Luna a couple times. It's Gabriel Luna. His name is Gabriel Luna, and I messed that up. I'm sorry. Gabriel, if you're watching this, my bad. Ghost Rider himself is very active on Twitter, and he's been interacting with a lot of fans. So if you see this, buddy, my bad. I just recently watched Andor again, so I had Diego Luna in my head, and you guys have the same last name. So that's my bad. Definitely called him the wrong name a couple times, but I think he's still one of the best castings in the show. But this episode went a long way towards making Bella Ramsey more acceptable Ellie. I mean, I already enjoyed her as Ellie, but I think people who maybe didn't like her in the first episode might have come around to her by the end of this episode. Anna Torv as Tess, freaking fantastic, brilliant as always. And then Joel hasn't gotten Pedro as Joel hasn't gotten as much opportunity to shine at this point. I mean, he's exceptional, but they haven't put as much focus on him being exceptional because at least early on that's not what the story is asking for. We'll get those moments. Trust me. We already know he's brilliant. So yeah, oh man. This show's so good. 2 episodes down, 7 to go, and I'm loving every minute of it. I'm so excited to see more. Like, this is an adaptation done right. You can tell how much they care about the source material and how they want to stick close to it, and they aren't making changes to change things. Like, they're making changes that make sense and that fit within the story, and they don't, and that's like changes that don't take away from what the stories or what the games were in any sense. They just slightly shift things and make a little more sense from a storytelling standpoint. And yeah, I don't know. I have absolute faith that every episode from now on is just going to be an absolute banger. I mean, when you're already adapting one of the best stories in gaming ever, like arguably, and at this point, you know, I think we're far past the point of having a gaming story, like having a story come from a game be a detractor of the story. Like if people often talk and they're like, oh, that's a good story for a game, or like people won't necessarily hold up a story from a game in comparison to a story from a movie or a TV show. I think we're far past that point. You know, these pieces of art can be on the same level. And so having this be considered one of the greatest stories in gaming, I think you can also say it's one of the greatest stories point blank, right? It's masterfully done in the game, and the story's brilliant, both part 1 and part 2. Honestly, if you don't like The Last of Us, the story of The Last of Us, you're insane. Like, you're legitimately dumb. I don't know what to say. You just don't have the mental capacity to understand complex stories if you don't like the story. Like, I'm not typically a rude person, and I don't like to talk down on other people for whether or not they do or do not enjoy something, but sometimes some stuff is so good, and it's like the Andor. Like, Andor was so good. There's just certain things where if people don't like them, it's like, and they're like, oh, it's bad. It's like, are you stupid? Like, what is wrong with you? There's no possible way you just watched the same thing that I did and you came to the conclusion that it is bad. Like, you're insane. Oh man. I've seen a couple takes here and there. Like 99% of the things I've seen about episode 1 have been like, oh, it's brilliant. Like, this is fantastic. Both from people who have played the game and people who haven't played the game. They're like, I was immediately enthralled. I loved it. Fantastic. But I saw a couple here and there of people being like, I watched episode 1 and it wasn't good. It's like, are you the dumbest person alive? Like, there's no way. You must have watched a different show. Like, I don't know. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. And if you disagree, you're wrong. That's just the facts. But no, let me know your thoughts on episode 2. If you are someone who hasn't played the game, what did you think was going to happen? Did the reveal at the end catch you by surprise? If you have played the games, how do you think the Tess death was handled? How was it seeing scary moments from the game translated onto screen? I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions. If you enjoyed my reaction, please leave a like on the video. It means a ton to me, helps my channel grow. If you're new here or you find yourself coming back often, hit subscribe, ring the bell so you're notified when I upload. And then if you want to see the full uncut version of this reaction, or you just want to support me in general, consider checking out my Patreon that is linked in the description below. Sometimes I post these reactions early on Patreon, so if you want to be part of that, consider checking it out. But otherwise, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time.